If you so much as existed on the internet in the spring of 2026, you probably noticed a trend. You still call it a meme? Like if it's on TikTok or Instagram Reels, is it still a meme? I don't know. I don't have time to figure that out. Anyways, what were you like in the 90s? To the strains of Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, which is a band I really liked up to a certain point. The tipping point with bands stinks. You love a band for one album, maybe two, and then your interest drops off over time, but that one record really stays with you. And I guess Iris, from the 1998 film City of Angels and the album Dizzy Up the Girl, stuck with some people to the point where it's being featured on social media in 2026. They get any royalties for that? Another question. Sometimes I wonder if there's this community of string musicians, right? And they can say, hey, I was on violin for that. A big song like Iris or Time of Your Life by Green Day or any huge pop song where the producer says, we need some strings. Like, do record companies have in-house orchestras? Or if you're recording in upstate New York, for example, do you call up the Binghamton Philharmonic and be like, I need something? I don't know. How does that work? What was I like in the 90s? I'm not going to come out and say it. You'll probably figure it out if you listen to the podcast. But I do remember trying to make my favorite music part of my brand. Only you didn't call it a brand back then. But yeah, I mean, maybe I could fit in because I have the same tapes as these other kids. Now, I didn't like grunge as a genre, but I remember liking Stone Temple Pilots. And there's this faint memory of getting grilled on the school bus by a kid. I can't remember his name, and I usually do remember the names of the random bozos and nut jobs that I went to school with, or at least they pop up in my People You May Know Facebook tab sometimes. This kid didn't think I was cool enough to own Stone Temple Pilots' core, unless I could recite the name of every song on it, which I did. The one thing that made it easy was the simple naming conventions they used, like Plush or Creep, Sex Type Thing. Who's going to forget a song called Sex Type Thing? Same with Wet My Bed. I was 10. That was an easy name to remember. But yeah, I passed the test that day and went back to being uncool the next for some other reason. I knew the song titles so well because I read the liner notes for every cassette and CD that I had. I mean, where else was I going to learn more about STP in 1993? I remember another thing about the school bus. We had this cool bus driver for a little while. She wasn't too old. Somehow she'd made this deal with one of the students where she'd play his mixtapes. So as that bus rolled through the damp, gray, beach-adjacent streets on the north side of Dennis, Massachusetts to pick up one, maybe two kids from mostly abandoned neighborhoods that are full of summer homes, we'd hear some Pink Floyd, some Rush, Presidents of the United States of America. I wish I could remember more, but that kid back in the 90s, he was cool. I'm Sean Sylver, and this is Cracked Rear View, the pilot episode. Each week, we talk with an interesting guest about the music we love through the lens of the 1990s CD Club deal. You remember those, 10 CDs for a penny, right? With the postcard that you sent back, Columbia House, BMG Music Service, it was a whole thing. Also a really enticing way to build your brand by acquiring a bunch of CDs for cheap. The pilot is a conversation with my neighbor Dan Lourenço. Dan's a guitar enthusiast and the former owner of an unfortunate AOL Instant Messenger screen name. He's also the guy I was talking to when I came up with the idea for this podcast, so it only seemed appropriate to talk to Dan, crack a dad beverage or two, and pour over a 1990s music ad. The year is 1995.
Drive home 1,000 times. Dark roads, they must be mine. Left all our friends behind. Can't let you see I'm crying.
Our very first guest on Cracked Rear View is my neighbor Dan. Dan, thank you for being the guinea pig, though not in the same way as the shared guinea pig at our kids' preschool. For context, Dan and I are neighbors. We live in the same street. Our kids attend the same preschool. Dan, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, my friend. It's great to be here and chat about some music.
as we got to know each other as neighbors, that was really, for me, the genesis of this idea of doing this podcast, because we're always talking to each other. Remember back on MTV? You remember that? Or you remember that song or that album? Oh, I had that on tape. It's just like 90% of the stuff we talk about is that.
Yep.
There may be a weakness in our friendship where we don't really talk about anything other than that.
I think we have plenty of content to survive the years, my friend. I'm not too worried.
But here we are, and
here we are.
I reached out to Dan and kind of said, "Hey, where are we going in the time machine here?" And you said 1994. Yeah. Why are we in 1994?
Well, are we in 1994 though? Because I think you, and I hope I'm not spoiling anything, you sort of nudged me and said, "Hey man, those CDs that you like from 94 actually probably wouldn't be available in the catalogs till 95, which I did not pick up on." So
I watched a great documentary on CD clubs called "The Target Shoots First." You can find it on Vimeo for those of you who are interested in using the fine services of Vimeo in 2026. But this guy who worked for Columbia House, they quoted someone actually who said that the idea was they're not directly competing with retail. So they had to wait 3 to 6 months to put the CDs in their catalogs. So we're going, I guess, to early 95 so we can eat at the table of the glories that is 1994. Were you a member, Dan? I forget. Did you have a membership to one of these things?
Yeah, so I didn't have one. I believe my dad had one, and that's probably why we ended up with the number of CDs that we did, and then the eclectic collection of of music constantly playing in our house. So I believe he had one. I think I signed up for one way later on. This is when I think I got like Ray LaMontagne's debut album, or whatever his big album was, and then that was, I think the other thing that was available for selection that I got was like Coldplay X and Y or something. It was
you were getting in like right before these things went defunct. Like that's 05.
Basically. Yeah. It must have been 50 CDs for a penny. I don't know. There's no reason I would have signed up for that. Maybe the selection was dire because those are the only two that I remember even getting from that. So
Coldplay X and Y, the CD that was supposed to make them the new U2, if I recall correctly. Supposed to put them on par with U2 as the biggest band in the world, and I don't think it quite met expectations.
No, I don't think so. And man, I'll admit it. And
they've had a good run.
They did, but after Parachutes and A Rush of Blood to the Head, I was out. Those two albums I thought were great, but I was sort of into that scene of Brit pop. I guess Keane was around at that time.
Okay, yeah,
sure. So I was kind of
was Travis also one of those?
Yes, guys? Travis. Why does it always rain on me? Yes. So there was a moment there where Parachutes was a little bit more, I think, introspective, but there was something there that I kind of liked it. Then
I think they kind of lost me after Viva La Vida, maybe. So I might have hung it a little longer.
Yeah, no, actually, I did have that album as well, and I think that first song, I can't even remember the name of it.
Viva La Vida, probably.
No, but doesn't it start off?
Yes. With that heavy guitar riff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I may have had that as a ringtone back in the day, but I definitely fell off after
that. see, this is why usually these conversations we have in confidence. We wouldn't share with the world perhaps that Violet Hill was my ringtone on my Nokia device, but Dan, for the tens of people who are likely to listen to this first episode, it is out there.
It is out there. You know what? This is not going to be the first time I'm going to publicly shame myself or embarrass myself on this during this conversation. So
that's why we're headed to early 1995. We have a BMG Music Service ad here, and we'll share this on our socials so everybody can kind of follow along. Now, 10 CDs or cassettes for the price of one with nothing more to buy ever. That was the BMG hook. Columbia House, they would expect you to fulfill some sort of commitment over time. So I was a BMG guy. You know, looking at this beautiful piece of paper here, what jumps out at you? What are the images that are smiling at you? And you know, do you have any recollections here? I see Collective Soul, and I see
Yes.
with hair, I see the members of Live.
Wow. You know, you called out the hair part, and there's Ed Cool. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
Kowalczyk,
Kowalczyk, is
something
that
like
it?
that.
Yeah. I know what it looks
like a
like,
hockey
but
player.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got a full mane. He looks like Scott Stapp from, like, you know,
Pre-Stapp.
the my own prison era. Yeah, like,
Stapp 1.0 right here.
no, that hair though. The hair's like, you know,
Native
that long
version.
wavy.
Yep, it is.
Pretty much.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, all these album covers, I mean, gosh, like the Cranberries, no need to argue. Like, that's an iconic photo for me. Just, you know, everybody on the sofa, Dolores on the floor. Basically, you know, it's funny. I'm looking at most of these albums, and like, I think there's only one that I just like probably wouldn't be able to pick up, and that's the Nine Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral, because of how abstract it is. But the other ones are just.
Oh yeah. So it I guess makes sense that you did not own the Downward Spiral if you can't tell the album art here.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's part of the bias here. But yeah, I eventually kind of got into Nine Inch Nails, but not until like much later on.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I realized going through this. You know, I kind of made like a list, you know, prior to our conversation. Like, I had this album, but there were several of them where it's like I only got into these bands later.
Yes.
You know, and it's just because when you're, and for us, I guess we're talking about being, what, 11, 12 years old here?
Yeah.
You know,
that's right.
You're just not going to fully understand.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I look at and it seems so like front of mind. Boyz II Men 2, you saw that everywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, Dookie. I don't know
album cover.
Yeah. I'll mention my maximum about those two albums specifically later. I think we talked
about it. It felt like those were albums that we had to have, you know, as adolescent consumers who were trying to be cool in '94.
to various degrees of success, at least in my case.
Okay, so we arrive here, right? How were you accessing your music? How were you exposed to music? Were you a big radio guy? Were you an MTV guy? How's Dan getting music in '94?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my dad was definitely a huge music lover. I mean, he could not survive without it. He was not like the most handy guy in the house, but he did figure out how to wire the entire house with speaker wire, so he could put every dang pair of speakers that he had, the Technics, the Bose, you know, bookshelf speakers, every corner of the house, so that like if he wanted to listen to Andrew Lloyd Webber, So Were You, while you were in the bathroom. You know, you might get lucky, and you know, you might get a weekend where he's playing like Led Zeppelin or, you know, Pink Floyd, and is firmly this, you know, in his midlife crisis, or STP core, or like, you know. So it would be all over the place. So I would be exposed a lot. But I mean, at that age, I was firmly into like the alt rock scene. It was really calling to me, and I would definitely watch. I wasn't allowed technically to watch MTV, but like my parents would leave for work early enough, and I was still waiting for the bus to go to middle school, I guess, that I would put on MTV in the morning and watch Rude Awakening with John Sensio. And why I remember that, I don't know, but like,
wow.
Yeah, we're talking about, well, maybe that was, you know what, that was probably closer to 96 or 97, because that
Let's
was
say
I was seeing a lot of like Bush, Machine Head, like, and what else do I
well,
remember? Criminal by what's her name?
16 Stone came out in
Yeah,
94, 95. Probably got hot. Criminal by Fiona
yeah,
Apple. So that's
Fiona
definitely
Apple.
90. That's definitely 97.
Yeah. So we're getting close. So
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 we're 10 minutes in and John Sensio has been mentioned. This is exactly where I want to take this podcast.
perfect. And people are gonna be like, who the is John
No,
Sensio?
no.
But
If
if
you're
you're
listening
around
to
at
this
that time,
podcast, there's a 50% chance you know
that's true.
John Sensio. We have to know our
Yes,
audience here.
that's
So
right.
the grind is over. We're done with
Yeah.
that. And we're moving into regular music programming on MTV. We're not watching people work out in spandex anymore.
Right. Right. So yeah, I would say primarily the exposure would be, through friends and trading CDs and stuff. Just my dad playing music throughout the house, and yeah, when my parents left, getting an unhealthy dose of MTV or VH1 to a lesser extent.
And I mean, that was, basically in reverse, what I would do. I'd get off the bus and, have a little period of time to hit up some afternoon MTV, and that just
Yeah.
kind of continued, like
Mhm.
it continued so much so that I was an early watcher of TRL, like
Yeah,
when it was Total Request. It was just Carson Daly
that's
in like
right.
a studio with no fans, just running back the 10
Mhm.
10 videos of the week. It's like, Come With Me by P. Diddy and Jimmy Page.
I don't know what it says if that's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Unfortunate that my mind went there first, but that was a huge song in the early days of Total
It
Request
was.
from
It
the
was.
Godzilla soundtrack.
That's right.
Um, when you wanted to buy a CD for your own collection, first of all, you had
Yeah.
a CD player. Were you CDs or were you tapes at this point?
At that time, I think I was just transitioning to CDs.
Okay.
Actually, I don't. That's tough. I might have had one of those combo stereos because I was definitely still listening to some tapes. I
Well,
remember.
yeah. I mean, you had to have the combo stereo because if
Right.
half of your music collection is on tape, you can't access it anymore, right?
Right.
So
So I didn't see it on this list, but when did Pearl Jam 10 come out? Because I remember that was probably the last tape.
that was 91. It probably got really hot in
That was
92.
91. Okay. All right. So yeah. So then,
So probably by 93, 94, you're out of
yeah.
tapes.
Yeah.
Right.
That would track because I think the second CD I purchased was actually the Cranberries, No Need to Argue, which is on this list. And
Okay. So there we go.
made the top 10.
Made the top 10. All right.
It did.
I do want to ask where you went to buy music back in these days. What was your record store of
Yeah.
choice? Because the
Yeah.
more I talk to people about like what record store they went to when they were a kid, there are some names
Mhm.
out there that just, for me, there were very few options
Yeah.
locally, but for other people, they may feel like, oh yeah, I had one of those in my mall or
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
strip mall, in town,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think so. I grew up in Taunton, Mass, and I think in 92 or 93, somewhere around that time, the Silver City Galleria opened. And, we
Huge.
had, yeah, and we talked about, I think I mentioned this store before, and I don't think you were familiar because of the I don't know lack of malls available on Cape Cod or whatever. But there was a place called The Wall, and it was basically like your FYE or Sam Goody kind of thing. But they had this guarantee and this sticker that you would put on the back of any CD that you purchased that basically said it has a lifetime guarantee. If it got scratched or whatever, you could bring it in and they would replace it. So that was their hook to get us in there. So
Huge. Did you know what the reference to the wall is? Is it some sort of like Pink Floyd illusion? Did they have like a huge wall of stuff and like that was the thing? It was like the aggro crag of music.
yeah. Okay, all right. So we have references to John Sensio, now the aggro crag from Nicola. What was that? Guts, right?
I'm fully in the 90s, Dan.
I
This
love
is
it.
we're going for broke on Correct Review.
All right. Was it Mike McNally? What was his name? All right, whatever. The host from
Oh,
that show.
Mike O'Malley.
Mike O'Malley. There we go.
Also known
Yeah.
as the Rick of ESPN fame. And I think he was on what the heck was that show? Yes, Dear? No.
Mm.
I don't know. I didn't watch it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Mike
Well,
O'Malley,
I didn't know
Boston
that.
guy.
Yeah, I did know that. He always used to wear like a Bruins jersey. Anyway,
There you go.
yeah. Um,
So the guarantee was the hook.
yes.
I mean,
hmm
we had a record town in the mall, so I have no background on the wall. I will have
hmm
to Wikipedia this or Google this.
Yes.
I wonder if it was a chain or if it was only
Oh, it was a
like
chain.
Silver
It was
Snake
for
thing.
sure a chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those small store type of chains. Like honestly, it was one of the smaller ones. You could think of it almost like the size of a electronics boutique or a Babbage's, like but instead of like video
Two
games
stores
or
we would
whatever.
not have on Cape Cod.
Okay, well,
I
you're gonna
think I think we might have had an EB in the Cape Cod Mall.
okay. I was gonna say
Babbage's was definitely. I learned about Babbage's from Strong Bad cartoons. Like I
oh
had no
wow,
idea what Babbage's is.
yeah, you're gonna be
Homestar
doing a
Runner.
lot of Wikipediaing, I think.
That's just my life. Just my life. I should have donated the $2.75 to Wikipedia at least once by
Mhm.
this time. Their many appeals for my support have gone unheeded.
Same. Yeah, one of these days I'll chip in a couple bucks.
Let's make a resolution here on the maiden voyage of the Cracked Review podcast.
Yeah.
We are going to chip in some money to the cause of Wikipedia for giving us all of this information that we are now, hemorrhaging upon these microphones.
That sounds like a plan. Yeah.
So the wall, you're buying CDs full price at the wall. If you had access to some bonkers deal like this, Dan, where are we going? Do we feel a need to, secure all of the hottest new music, right, to keep up with the Joneses? Do we need to get some of the classics into our library? Like, where is
Yeah.
and also I guess I should ask too, right? Are we taking this journey as current consumer, someone who obviously has a good bit of life lived and the knowledge that goes with that? Or are we approaching this as it's me, it's 1995, early 1995, and I'm buying 10 CDs? How say you?
Yeah, you know what? I really struggled with this, and I had to rewrite the list a couple of times. And ultimately, I probably I probably ended up with a little bit of a hybrid. There's probably a little bit of like if a CD really pulled me in back in the day, and I might not listen to it now, I still threw it on the list. And there were some that I just think there's plenty that I think I would have appreciated more so now. But I think I'm landing like this is what I would buy it at that time. You know,
it's a very authentic approach. I appreciate this. And another thing I thought of too is like some of these CDs are already in the house. Dan, is Yanni in your house?
Oh, it is so
Is
in
he
my
live
house.
at that Acropolis?
He is so live at the Acropolis, and it was not just that album, though. I remember watching that at my cousin's house because my dad and his brother were just live at the Acropolis on VHS. I mean, you couldn't beat the spectacle.
It was a moment.
It was a moment.
It's absolutely a moment. Yanni had it. CCR is there. Moody Blues are there. Eagles are there. And then we had
no Amy Grant, House of Love. Come on.
Very possible. Very possible. I might have overlooked that. Is that the one that had all
Baby,
the hits
Baby
on there? Baby, Baby.
I'm gonna have
Every heartbeat bears your name.
That's right.
Right.
I didn't know you were gonna sing on the podcast. This is gonna make it that much better.
Singing is welcome. Again, it's unlicensed. These are covers. Nobody can come for us here.
That's right. Oh, man. Now you have me Googling Amy Grant. I was not expecting to do that.
Well, Amy Grant. So that was another one. Actually, yes, Amy Grant's in the house. My parents even had the Amy Grant like contemporary Christian era.
Oh wow.
Offerings because she was a balladeer. She would sing like probably like religious standards of the time. And so we had that. I don't remember them having House of Love, but they certainly could have. The various Amy Grant Christmas albums that she's come out with.
That's right.
Um,
I did look up House of Love. None of those bangers were listed, so this must have been
oh, so
maybe.
that's the follow-up to
Is it? I
the
guess so.
yeah,
Yeah.
because whatever came out in like '91 for Amy Grant
Mm.
was just that was the one that was loaded with hits, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Amy Grant's
Yes, Heart in Motion. How could I forget?
Heart in Motion."
That was definitely yeah. That was definitely played quite a bit in our house.
Wow. I think House of Love, maybe the title track might have gotten some radio play, but
Mhm.
again, ask me why this is in my head. It's just I don't know. I feel like I heard an interesting statistic from my guy Alan Cross on
Mhm.
the ongoing history of new music podcast, and he did an episode on I think it was music and aging, and basically
Okay.
the age old like, oh, why is music today not as good as it was when I was younger?
Right.
And one of the things that there were all these surveys that he cited, just kind of whimsically, not with like super seriousness, but I think one survey that was taken, I forget exactly, how scientifically they laid this out, but when you're a teenager, you spend like 20% of your time like engaging with, listening to, thinking about, reading about music, right?
Mhm.
And for you at that age, it's probably mostly pop.
Yeah.
But as you get older, that time dwindles, not only because you are a busy adult, but also because your tastes have matured and you just kind of know. You're not like looking to
Mm.
discover, you're not looking to know everything about all of the new music because like you've already done that. So something
Mhm.
in 1994 told me that Amy Grant was important for probably 5 to 10 minutes, and it's still
Yeah.
here in
Right.
2026, sadly.
Oh man. No
So
slander to Amy Grant, but
no, not at all, not at all.
yeah.
Talented performer,
Hmm.
married to Vince Gill.
Really?
That's a
I did
union
not
that I
know.
believe. Well, you just Wikipedia'd her, so you can tell me in the
I
personal
went.
life section if
Hey man, I went straight to the discography. I was not looking at her personal life. Now, yeah, I'm gonna be doing some Wikipediaing myself after this. I'm
don't mean
sure.
to keep you up all night, Dan. I know you got
No,
important other things going here,
debatable.
but glad that you could join for this journey here. So
Of
I'm
course.
I'm interested in hearing about your 10, and
Yeah.
of course the why. Perhaps that's the most important part is the conversation around the why.
Sure.
Um, as we're gonna remember some guys, as a
Yeah.
popular series of videos would say it.
Yep. That's right. All right. So first page starts off with
Is
Sheryl Crow.
is the first
Oh,
page the one with Collective Soul on it, or the one with Live on it?
oh, I should not be making assumptions. Yeah, the one with live is the one that I
Okay.
started with here. All right, so we get to the second listing, and it's R.E.M. Monster. I had to circle that one.
Yep.
Why I chose it? I mean, I just remember playing I played the crap out of it. It was just I gravitated towards that band in that era. I think one of my closer friends was also into REM, so that sort of helped. I feel like a lot of times I was experiencing music like either with my dad or sort of by myself. Not always my my taste buds did not always align with like my peers at the time.
Sure.
I think I might have mentioned one time that I there was like a school dance and people were bringing in like I don't know. I don't remember what bands necessarily were like big at the time, but just imagine 96, 97. Probably a lot of friends were still listening to like, I don't know, Nirvana or Bush. And then I'm bringing in, I think, Bryan Adams and Mariah
Yes.
herself. So like
Yes.
that's where I was. I was listening to Bryan Adams while, I don't know, my friends were listening to Offspring. I eventually liked the Offspring, but maybe not at that time.
Wow. Brian, we talking So Far So Good, the super stacked greatest hits collection? Or
No, it
maybe
was
are we
Bringing
talking
Down
like
the House, I think.
Waking Up the Neighbor, or Bringing Down the
That's it. No, no,
House?
no. I'm sorry. Waking Up the Neighbors. That's what it's called.
I was gonna say because
I was
Brian
confusing that
Adams
with.
He's totally the kind of guy who would have one album called Waking Up the Neighbors
Right.
and another one called Bringing Down the House. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
Bryan Adams. Everything is epic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I don't know. It must have been like the number of syllables for some reason mapped to that one. But yes, Waking Up the Neighbors. That is the one that I brought into like my seventh grade school
So are
dance or
kids gonna
bash.
dance? Kids gonna dance to this at maybe Can't Stop This Thing We Started?
Well, I found out that they didn't. I told the DJ, I was like, "Hey, play." Oh God, what? I don't even remember the.
Did they do the Robin Hood song, like the slow dance?
Yeah, that might have been why I brought it in. I was like, "This will be a good song to dance to."
Everything I Do, yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
I feel like that
But
was played at middle school dances for me,
that's
at
true.
least up to a certain point.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's another thing too. The flooding back of like middle school dance
Yeah.
songs when you see, just think about like I Swear by All for One, like
Hmm.
just a
That's right.
huge. I was looking at the '94 charts actually too.
Hmm.
I think that's the number 2 song in on the year-end '94 chart was I Swear by All for One.
I believe it. That song's
Um,
everywhere.
Monster by R.E.M. Is this
Yeah.
your
So
kind of like grown up REM moment here? Like, maybe you'd heard a little bit of the other stuff, or were you a full fledged REM fan by the time Monster comes around?
it's funny. At the time, I considered myself a huge REM fan. I liked Automatic for the People,
Okay.
and I also liked uh, Losing My Religion, but that was off of Out of Time, I believe. Um, and we'd mentioned this, but like it's funny. Like I never really got into Green and like some of the earlier albums. Like I just missed it, but I remember really liking Monster. I can't remember. Maybe it was my cousin. My cousin was also sort of a big influence musically. We both started learning like guitar at the same time, so
Mhm.
a lot of these albums on here, we try to play some tunes from them. But so Monster was the first album that I think like, oh, okay, it's like some kids at school are into it, like my cousin's into it. I was like, this is a really great album. A lot more driven rock compared to something like Automatic for the People, right? Which is
Yeah. Well,
acoustic.
like this was like their sludgy, like grungy, at least just the way the guitar is way up at the front and
Oh,
everything.
exactly.
That was kind
Yeah,
of there. And I feel like there was a fair amount of commentary at the time that was maybe not REM sells out,
right.
but REM is changing with the times. Like, is it going to work or
Sure.
not?
Yeah, that's it's funny. I wasn't really sure like of that whole aspect of it, of how they were sort of being critiqued. But I think I remember reading an interview or something about Peter Buck there was interviewed about the band's sound, and I think it was as simple as, "Hey, I got a new Les Paul, and I want to like put it through its paces and make a rock album." Right. So, and it starts off with those opening chords from "What's the Frequency, Kenneth?" You're like, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a noisier record. So I loved "What's the Frequency, Kenneth?" "Crush with the Eyeliner."
Yeah.
Um, "Let Me In." That was a great song, which I didn't realize it was a tribute, I think, to Kurt Cobain.
Oh yeah,
This
that's
came
right.
out after he passed, and Michael Stipe and Kurt Cobain, I guess, were good friends. So
Yeah.
that was interesting to learn. But "Bang and Blame," I love that song too. And this was like my friends were into this album. My cousin, my dad played this a lot. So there was like it was getting played from like all these different, whoever I would talk to would be playing it, and I grew to love it. And it was my first actual concert. We were talking before how I'd been to like Boston Mix 98.5 used to have these mix fests where they'd get
Sure.
like all the bands back in the day, Gin Blossoms or Spin Doctors, whoever's sort of like popular at the time, come out. I had been to those sorts of shows, but I'd never been to a dedicated concert for one artist. And so REM was my first. It was at the Fleet Center, I think,
Okay.
in
So
'96.
all right, got it. I was gonna
Um,
say the Fleet Center's brand new at that point.
oh yeah, yeah. I think that was our first. Yeah, you're right. That was the first time we'd ever been to the Fleet Center. I had been to like, I had never been to a Celtics game at that point, but I had gone to like a Barnum and Bailey's or something there.
Yeah,
So
right.
I remember the old garden and
Ice
how
capades.
right exactly. And I just remember how modern TD Bank or Fleet Center, whatever the hell it is. Yeah, it was definitely Fleet Center at the time.
Yeah,
How
back then.
modern that felt. Anyways, yeah. So REM was a huge album for me. Really started getting it, trying to play every song on the album and just like cranking it up when my mom wasn't home, and just trying to play some rock. So that was a great album for me.
Good
Um,
call.
yeah. Number two, we have Counting Crows, August, and Everything After.
Oh,
So,
that's a no skips album, Dan.
yes, thank you. I'm glad you agree. I would reconsider our friendship if you did. If you did not. It's funny. Counting Crows again. It's funny. I look at some of these bands and it's like, oh, that was my favorite band at the time. And when I look at their entire discography, I maybe loved 15% and ignored the rest. So, are they really my favorite band? Anyway, Counting Crows, August, and Everything After. Um, that album for me was like near perfect, and I might not have even appreciated it so much at the time, but as I got older, it aged like fine wine. I mean, I still think a lot of people have some not so nice things to say about Adam Duritz live because of just how he decides that melody is totally optional and he can just kind of sing the songs however he wants on
He
any
warbles.
given evening. He warbles. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And maybe he doesn't have the prettiest voice, but man, the music and the writing on that album is phenomenal. I mean, Round Here starts off with like some of the best lyrics I think, just like right out the gate. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
that that might be my favorite song on the record.
Oh, for sure, same. And Mr. Jones was fun and everything, but Round Here was just such a great song.
Yeah, it
I
was.
mean,
You mentioned the lyrics.
yeah,
Draw you in. It's painful. It's
yeah,
very this era.
yeah. It really is. What Anna Begins was another fantastic song. I mean, Omaha. Rain King. So many of these songs were just
I'm a
I don't know.
big Murder of One guy, the closer
Murder of
track,
One. That's a
which
good one.
really the second side, because I had this on tape. So side B,
Hmm.
you've got Rain King, but then you go Sullivan Street, Ghost Train, Raining in Baltimore, and Raining in
Yeah.
Baltimore is like the album has just gotten supremely sad.
Hmm. I need
And
a
then you
phone
do
call.
Murder of One, like to pick up the tempo to end,
Yeah.
and it's just like, yeah. I mean, I
That's-
love this album, and 1,000% agree.
yeah.
And that's an interesting observation about, you have a band, they make an impression on you, and then you look at their catalog when it's all kind of said and done, and you're just like, yeah, I only really appreciated a certain percent of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of the same with Counting Crows. I have this.
Yeah.
I have whatever the next one was, the one with Long December on it,
Oh yeah. Oh
Recovering the
gosh.
Satellites.
Recovering the Satellites. Yeah.
And I have Hard Candy.
I have that one as well.
I didn't have the Fishbowl one, the
This
one with
something life.
This Desert Town,
This
This Desert
desert
Life,
this desert life. Yeah.
and then Hard Candy, and then that is it for
They
me.
have.
And there's
Yeah. They
probably
have.
some other good stuff there, but that's it.
No, I agree. What was that song that was super depressing that was on some soundtrack? Colorblind is the song.
Oh yes,
I forget
trying to
what
think
album it's
what
on.
movie that was.
Or sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. What movie that was
Was it on
featured in?
Cruel Intentions?
I think you might be right. I think it was Cruel Intentions. One last note on the Counting Crows, and then we can move on. But
Yeah, yeah.
have you ever heard of the band the Himalayans?
Rings a bell, but I
Okay.
can't cite anything by him.
The Himalayans were, I think it was Adam Duritz's first band
Oh,
before
okay.
he eventually
Okay.
left into the Counting Crows. I was watching Rich. is it Rick Beato on YouTube,
Yeah.
and he was interviewing Adam Duritz. He was talking about the evolution. I think he mentioned that it was probably his favorite song. Um, and he said it actually started as a Himalayan song, and I looked it up, and it's basically the lyrics are virtually the same, but like it had this really intense sort of driving beat, which totally just I don't know has a completely different feel. So, anyways, if you're curious to see how that song evolved, look up the Himalayans version of Round Here. I guess that's the original version.
Wow. I love that sometimes. I one of my favorite songs that I recently learned had another version was Land Down Under by Men at Work.
Really? There's another version of that?
The original version is like very reggae, which
Huh.
if you can imagine, it's completely different and yet sublime, and not
Huh.
not the band Sublime, but it's really neat. I'll
That's
have to
cool.
look up this Himalayans version of Round Here as a huge Round Here enthusiast.
I'm gonna update my Twitter bio to say
Huge Round Here
Round Here
enthusiast.
enthusiast. She's oddly specific. I love it. Number
Yep.
3, we're going with Cranberries. No Need to Argue.
Okay, sell me
Yeah,
on this, Dan.
sell you on this. You
Well,
know,
yeah, I
it's
mean, I feel like Zombie was super popular,
hmm
but there's got to be more if you're buying the entire CD.
it's funny. I think Zombie is what lures you in, right? Like, so everybody's buying that album for Zombie, I think, because I mean it's just such a great song, and it's on the radio, and of course that's a song I'm trying to learn to play with my cousin. It's fairly simple,
Yeah.
but for somebody just starting out, it's just approachable enough. So anyway, Zombie lures you in, but here's the thing: I love every song, but I don't know if this is an album that I love more for the nostalgia for like what it represents, or if I
Okay.
truly love every one of these songs. Zombie is a great song. Ode to My Family is great. Empty is an awesome song. Dreaming My Dreams. Uh, the closer, No Need to Argue. That's a great song too. It's pretty somber, but I don't know. It just fits.
They do somber well. I mean,
They do.
I had the first, or I guess my dad had the everyone else is doing it, so why can't we?
hmm
And at some point that kind of wound up in my collection.
Yeah.
And when you listen to it for more than the Linger and Dreams,
hmm
right? It's great. It's
Yeah.
great. It's I want to listen back to that again. So basically we have a band here that is probably remembered strongly for 3 songs.
hmm
And then they say, "Oh, the do that song. Oh, that's called Ode to My Family." Okay, so that's
Yeah.
a fourth.
Yeah.
And but beyond that, you've got some real like deep
Deep cuts.
some album cuts that definitely make it worth your while to come around.
Yeah, yeah, they do, and it's like I for some reason there's some albums that I can just picture exactly where I'm at, a kitchen
Yeah.
table in Cambridge on a sunny Sunday afternoon. Like there's just some things that just bring me back. It's like, oh, I remember what I was doing that day, and then I went to Porter Square, and there was this bookstore called Foozles, and we went in there, and now it's where the City Sports is, if it's still there, but.
Oh,
It,
Rip City Sports too, right?
Did they see? I don't even know. Did they
City
close?
Sports is they're kaput. If you got a
They've probably been kaput for 10 years, and I
if
have
you've
no
got a
idea.
City Sports T-shirt, Dan, hold on to that thing. That's a
Yeah.
relic now.
See, now you bring up a good point. I was like, yeah, shit, I haven't seen a City Sports shirt in a long time. Yeah, I wonder if you should see if you could buy one on eBay. Maybe that'll be worth some money
I've
one day.
got one, Dan, and recently like the stitching gave way and like the armpit, and I'm like,
No.
I gotta fix this. I need to learn to
Yeah.
sew, if only to fix the City Sports T-shirt.
Right. Oh man, those things were everywhere and on
Omnipresent.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, whatever's where the former City Sports was. There was a great bookstore there. And
Foozles.
Foozles. It was called Foozles. You know what's funny? I try to look up all these things, and I'm like, it's like they never existed. It's so
They
hard to
never had a
find.
web presence, probably, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
unless there's somebody like talking about it on some nostalgia Facebook page now,
right.
which that's how a lot of this stuff, if you Google
Mhm.
like old businesses that you remember from you were a kid, they're on Facebook pages about like towns where people are just talking about what Main Street used to look like. It's
Yeah,
depressing as hell.
yeah. Ew. That could
But
be a
there we
separate
go.
podcast too. I
We're,
remember the Woolworths downtown in Taunton, Mass. Like,
yeah.
what's a Woolworths? Anyway, all right. I'm old.
Woolworths used to be the most numerous store in the United States. Woolworths.
Really?
Yeah, there was more Woolworths than any other branded store at some point in history. I don't know when this was, but
Yeah. I wonder if they all had the same footprint or
like
had the
layout.
general. Yeah, or yes,
I
the
don't know.
layout and
I
sort
don't
of
know.
just. Yeah, I remember it being two floors and everything feeling random, and getting a goldfish on the second floor, passing through furniture and knickknacks. I'm just like, I don't know. I could be misremembering, but I do remember getting the goldfish on the second floor of
Wow.
the
We
Woolworths in Taunton.
we
Why? I have
talk
no
we
idea.
talk about no need to argue, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden we're back in Cambridge going to Foozles, and we're going to the
Hmm.
Woolworths and getting a goldfish. Again,
Yep,
I
we're all
believe
over the place.
this podcast has succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. Because we are here to dredge, all right, and we're gonna find something
Right.
down there. That's
Okay.
that's that's where we're going here. All right,
All
so
right.
CD number 4.
CD number 4 is Nirvana, but not what you might expect. What would your
Okay,
be?
I gotta check here because
Okay.
it would make sense that this print ad, would have every Nirvana album that is
Hmm.
available. Um, I'm assuming because it's their most mainstream releases. You've got Nevermind and In Utero.
Hmm.
Is there something else listed on here by Nirvana? I would have
Yes.
interest in none of it. I was not a Nirvana fan,
Mm.
and
Okay.
yet, sorry, not sorry.
No hate.
But what do you got? What do you got here?
We got Unplugged in New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was that's how I got into them really. Because at the time, just for some context, there was my mother was a little bit more conservative in terms of what was allowed to be played on television or like
Sure.
what we could listen to. If I wanted to listen to like Metallica or something, I was doing so on my portable CD player or
Right. Right.
you know. So
Understandable. God bless, mothers who try to uphold some standard of
right.
whatever it is in the household, right?
Right. So Nirvana, especially like albums like Bleach, which were, pretty intense comparatively.
Mhm.
Unplugged in New York, I think got through because it was mostly acoustic, and it
Yep.
was also a gift. I remember, I don't remember if it was a birthday gift or whatever, but my cousins in the Azores sent over Unplugged in New York as a gift for me, and so I played it, and it's an acoustic album, and it's still Nirvana songs, but it's way more chill and accessible, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
even my dad, who's not particularly into grunge rock, I think appreciated that album as well. I'm thinking of songs like the David Bowie cover, "The Man Who Sold the World." I
Yep.
love
Yep.
that version of the song. "Jesus Don't Want Me for a Sunbeam." "All Apologies," like all of their like bigger hits, minus "Smells Like Teen Spirit" or something. But man, that album was just. I mean, it was popular at the time, and I sort of grew to become a Nirvana fan, and I sort of worked backwards. I that sort of brought me in, and then I think it was a lot of Nevermind, and then eventually I found Bleach, which was a little bit more raw than like say In Utero or Nevermind. So, anyways, they kind of
Are
they got me in with that album.
are you telling me that you were gifted the import version of the Nirvana Unplugged live in New York? If you,
Hmm.
have done right by your cousins and held on to this gift for 32 years, you may be sitting on some major value right there, Daniel.
Uh, maybe. I mean that the casing and everything. This is not a pristine copy. This thing is worn out. But to your point, I do have it in my basement. So maybe I should go dig it out and see if there's any difference.
It's the European import version, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is like Azores and even a different?
Do they have CD stores? In the
Yeah.
stores?
No, I was gonna say
No,
like
honestly, not in my dad's village. I did not ask my cousins how they, went about this, but if I see them again, it will be one of the first questions I ask.
nice.
Sure.
Where are we going to for number 5?
Number 5, I feel like we couldn't kick off this podcast without Hootie and the Blowfish Cracked Review.
Really? We're putting it on there. Holy cow!
I'm throwing it on there because I feel like it feels right. And, would I choose this album today?
Hootie, it feels right.
I don't know. But I will say, I did like Let Her Cry and like all the classics or whatever, but I will say Time was my favorite song on the album. And it also brings me back. I was playing Sonic the Hedgehog in my room listening to Time. I think my aunt dropped off this CD for me. It was like the day before Christmas or 2 days before Christmas. And then I just threw it on and was like, that's a great song. And I think I probably played it a couple times. And again, I associate it with Sonic the Hedgehog and Christmas time, which...
Is there a better time to be a child? I mean, let's be real here. So, and this is something I'm just discovering about you. You had a Sega Genesis.
I was actually borrowing it from my cousin. I wish I had one, but my cousin did. And I remember borrowing it from him for a spell.
That's so funny, Dan, that you mentioned that, because I also borrowed a Sega Genesis for like a 2-week span once from a friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting flooded right now with I think it was Sonic 2 that she had. Mm. And I'm just getting flooded with the Sonic 2 soundtrack right now. So wait a minute. Actually, I might have a gripe with you here. Okay. So you're on winter break. You've got a Sega Genesis in your home or in your room, perhaps. Were you TV in the room, kid?
Yeah, after a certain age.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I didn't have cable, but I did have, an NES.
Yeah.
And then I went to N64 when I wasn't borrowing, my cousin's Genesis for that.
I remember having like the antenna. My gripe is the Sonic the Hedgehog soundtracks that's like some of the best video game music of all time. I feel like I would have support for this, but instead Dan is drowning it out with the sweet tones of Hootie and the Blowfish.
I don't know, man. Honestly, this pick was like, it's debatable whether it should be on here.
Listen, I'm not here to hate on anything. I'm just looking at the juxtaposition of you've got Sonic the Hedgehog video game with the kick-ass stereo sound of the Genesis.
You're 100% right, and now I totally see what you're saying. You're like, this music is way better. I've not played Hootie and the Blowfish like willingly since the 90s, and I would listen to Sonic the Hedgehog music. So like, point taken. The ant dropped off the album. It's and then it's like, oh, cool, I'll play it. And then so this album's called Cracked Review. That album cover was everywhere. I think it was everywhere. That's one of those album covers that I look at and I'm like, yep, absolutely. That nothing better like signifies the mid 90s than that cover. So
Cracked Review, one of the biggest selling albums of all time, depending on where you look, Dan, right in between Green Day's Dookie and Britney Spears' Baby One More Time. So
wow,
there you go. Or it might have been Oops, I Did It Again. Whatever it is, either way, that just gives you context for how freaking monstrous this album was.
Right. Yeah, it was. Again, it's one of those.
You don't have to defend this to me. These are your choices, and you've given me your reasons.
Fair enough. All right. So Hootie's in there.
Hootie's in. I like it.
Hootie's
I
in.
like it.
Well, Hootie's in. What I will actually, now I'll start to get a little bit more serious in terms of like, no, all these songs were actually good, and it's not just because I put it with a certain time and place. But
Okay.
Live's Throwing Copper.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
this is one that's a blind spot for me because I only know the singles. I did not
Yeah.
have the CD or cassette. So take me through Throwing Copper here. What keeps this, front of mind 25, 30 years later?
I think it was just because there were so many good songs. I mean, granted, I say there were so many, but we're talking about like Lightning Crashes, Selling the Drama, All Over You.
Selling the Drama is I think that's my favorite. I mean,
yeah,
again, among the singles.
No, 100%. And I remember liking Live and liking those songs, but then I remember watching they also did, I believe it was an MTV Unplugged. I can still like picture it in my head, like the shirt that Ed was wearing and everything, but like it was just such a perfect unplugged show, and it just it was stripped down obviously, and just like all those songs still just sounded great, like whether or not they were acoustic or a little bit more driven. Like it was clear that like these melodies were awesome, and Ed sounded great live and everything. And so I don't know, it's just one of those albums that, again, I don't remember all of the filler songs, but it was more of like what that album represented in terms of alt music at that time.
It was kind of like the crest of the wave.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I didn't have Throwing Copper, but because I was a member of BMG Music Service and 1 month I forgot to return my reply card, I did receive the cassette because I was subscribed to the hard rock category, so that was what they would send me. I did receive the follow-up album, which I still don't know how to pronounce it. Secret Samadhi, I'm not sure.
I know.
Which had a big song on it, Turn My Head.
Mm-hmm. Did that also have Dolphins Cry? Was it on
Dolphins
that one?
Cry was on the one after that.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Like 99 or 2000. I don't know what that album is called. Yeah, no, Throwing Copper, again. It's a murderer's row of 90s music that we have right here in 1994. And you're assembling right here. It's like you're putting together the 27 Yankees of plastic discs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was really tough. If I go back and look at these lists again, I'm just like, I will second guess 50% of this. But like, there's just, you're spoiled for choice. Number 7, we have Eric Clapton Unplugged.
Love it.
I don't really understand how popular it was or how it was received. All I remember is that within the context of this house and being played all the time. And this is an album that I feel has aged very well. I could listen to almost all of these songs, and even like the big, I don't know. I think Tears in Heaven was probably, that version was a big sort of standout, but that was probably like my least favorite song. I just like the bluesy, stripped down, like acoustic.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Tears in Heaven is contemporary for that time, Clapton.
Right.
And the other stuff is, kind of more in line with what you'd expect with an unplugged album from Clapton, because that catalog is so deep.
Right.
And all the callbacks, with the arrangements that he made for them, they were fantastic. That was huge. This is the so far the oldest album that you've selected. This one was released in 1992.
Oh wow, I didn't even realize that. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I still prefer, maybe this is sacrilege, but I still prefer that version of Layla to the original.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. They're both great. They're both great, but I got to ask you why. What's the draw here? I mean, that if you have an all-time riffs list, the original Layla riff is there.
Oh, for sure.
Top 20 list.
Yeah, I mean, incredible riff. But I think just I sort of like the slow down take. I liked the jazzy little take on it, and his soloing on it. I think he took a song that it's objectively like badass and it has a great riff, but like just put a completely different spin on it, and it just felt like it sort of reminds, maybe not exactly like Van Morrison's Moondance, but just it has a jazzy feel to it. And it's
okay,
yeah.
yeah. I can feel that. I can definitely feel that. Actually thinking about this, the Derek and the Dominoes, Layla, and Other Assorted Love Songs.
Hmm.
When I joined BMG Music Service in, I think, 93 or 94, that was one of, I think, my initial selections, all because
Really.
I wanted Layla. I didn't know
That's
anything
funny.
else that I was going to be getting.
Right. Yeah.
And that was another one where I just played Layla, I'd rewound, I just played Layla, rewound.
Right. Yeah.
And then several years later, like late 90s, I'm probably in high school at this point, and I'm just like, wow, the rest of this album is also fantastic.
Right.
It's a strong one. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Clapton catalog, put down in unplugged fashion, that's
Mhm.
very appealing. So I dig what you're
Yeah.
saying there. All right, so
All right.
Clapton's in.
Yes.
Where are we going to next? Do we have what, 3 selections left?
We got three lefts. Yeah. Number 8 and 9 are grouped together. And we alluded to this before, but number 8 is Green Day's Dookie. I think you mentioned, I don't know if you were a huge, big Green Day fan back in the day, but this was one of those albums I remember my cousin let me borrow, and I loved it. Again, I think When I Come Around, or maybe it was this Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise. One or all of those songs like sucked me in, and then I thought even the filler songs were still pretty good. It sort of introduced me to, it's punk. It's probably not like people who like punk
Yeah.
probably wouldn't consider that punk. Maybe it's pop punk, but
Well, I mean, it's as close as you're going to get to punk on a major label, right?
yeah, good way to put it. So that song, and what I thought was funny about Green Day's Dookie, as well as like the next CD, is just like I had friends who came from diverse backgrounds and like different types of music generally. But so I had some friends who were really into rap and R&B and like more pop stuff. And then I feel like everybody I knew had both Green Day's Dookie and Boyz II Men too. It didn't matter like whether you were more into rock or alt rock. Like I had a friend, Bryan. Man, he had like Aerosmith, like Get a Grip. He was really into Nirvana. Like everything he had, all the music he had, there was definitely guitars involved. Except he also had Boyz II Men too. And then
Ladies and
conversely,
gentlemen, the
yeah,
monoculture, right?
right, exactly. And then the same thing meant like
we were supposed to have this CD. It
right,
was just, it was too hot not to have in your collection.
right. Which leads me to number 9, which was Boyz II Men too. Like everybody had that one as well. So anyway, yeah, these two, Green Day Dookie's number 8, Boyz II Men 2 is number 9. Partly for the reason that I mentioned, it was just they were ubiquitous, but also there was there was a lot of good albums. And looking back at this list, though, I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of slow shit, like on Bended Knee and 50 Candles and Water Runs Dry and I'll Make Love to You, which I'm sure you could you can decide if you want to tell that story or not.
Yeah, but, why not? Let's get it out there. So
right.
my dad, again, big Motown guy, so really loved all permutations of Motown because he got hooked to it in the 60s.
Yeah.
So even when like the label completely went belly up, but when it resurfaced in the 1990s, Dad was like, I'm going to get way into Boyz II Men, and just huge supporter of the fact that Motown was back in the spotlight in the 1990s. So what does young cash-strapped Sean do at Christmas of 1994? Well, I can't afford full freight, Boyz II Men too. That's just a bridge too far. I gotta get a present for my nan. I gotta, my mom's gotta have a good Christmas here. There's some stuff that's going on that I gotta take care of. So let's head on over to the singles section of the Strawberries in South Dennis. And what's the number 3 song of 1994 on the Billboard end of year charts? I mentioned the number 2 song was "I Swear" by All for One. The number 3 song in 94, according to this Wikipedia article that I pulled up today, is "I'll Make Love to You" by Boyz II Men. So, Christmas Day, my father goes to open the present. God bless him. And my great uncle, my mom's slightly disapproving uncle is there, sitting over in the corner, and Dad unwraps "I'll Make Love to You" by Boyz II Men, gifted lovingly by his 11-year-old son for Christmas.
Man.
So there you go, just trying to make dear old Dad have a smile.
What did he say? What was his reaction? Because
I don't
he had to
recall. I think it was like a reaction of just trying to show his son that he did a good job, and that's my dad in a nutshell. Always trying to make it good, make it seem like I did a good job. So
I love that.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh man, that is great.
Dookie's on. Boyz II Men 2 is on.
Yes.
These are powerhouse hits of 94.
Yep.
You, my friend, are at the point where you have one selection left.
I am, and again, this is really hard. There's so many I probably would have chosen differently, today, just based on my strictly on musical taste. But the number 10 spot has to go to Dave Matthews Band, "Under the Table and Dreaming."
All right.
I think we've alluded to the fact that I made a regretful choice for my AIM screen name, and that was DMB Dan 61, which unfortunately, if you read it out loud, is Dumb Dan 61. So, Dumb Dan over here. It's been a weird ride, honestly. I hated Dave Matthews the first time I heard him. Like I heard the songs and it's like, yeah, I hated his voice. I still don't think he has an objectively a great voice, but we can get into the reasoning here.
You went from hating though to making this an AIM screen name.
Yeah.
so
yeah.
he caught you. He roped you in somewhere. Where was it?
I think it was like Dancing Nancy's that I thought was sort of weird. Or I heard one song that I was just like, I don't know if I love it. And so I think I used to confuse him too with Delamitri. I don't know why. I think "What Would You Say" and "Roll to Me" were like on at the same time, like getting constant airplay. But I was just like, I confused the two at one point.
That sort of makes sense to me.
It's like upbeat, kind of poppy guitar,
anyway. Peppy, weird singing.
Yeah, sure. Right? So anyways, I did not love Dave Matthews originally, and then a lot of my refinding Dave Matthews or appreciation for him was because a girl that I had a huge crush on was really into Dave Matthews, so I figured I have to be too, to like maybe have something to talk to her about it. What happened was, again, I was like, this is whatever. A girl I liked him, and I started to reevaluate it. And I actually think I sort of like grew to like some of it, just outside of just wanting this girl to notice me. So this was also around the same time that I was starting to learn guitar, and my cousin was practicing the Satellite riff, and the Satellite riff was super weird to play. Like it wasn't, I was going from like chords and just like single note melodies. And then now we're talking about these weird spider-like shapes that you're playing, and these patterns that feel more like a guitar warm-up exercise than anything else. And it just became one of these things that, I don't know, maybe it's like my ADHD brain or something, but I like to fall into these patterns. There's something about like sort of getting lost in it. It's basically like a fidget spinner. Like I could sometimes play guitar muted while I'm doing something else because it just helps me process my thoughts or something.
Yeah.
And I found out that a lot of Dave Matthews does that. Like I remember I think it's song number 34 at the end of that album also has a sort of a similar pattern. So I was learning to play guitar. I thought Dave Matthews stuff was sort of getting a little bit advanced. It was a place to sort of shoot for. And yeah, I look back at that album. I still think What Would You Say is a really fun song. I like Satellite, Ants Marching, Warehouse, Jimmy Thing, Lover Lay Down. Like all those songs, I'm not a huge Dave Matthews fan anymore. And I went to a concert recently, and I'm just like, I just want to listen to songs from like 2 albums, and that's about it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of newer stuff, so it's not even worth going anymore. Like
That's a funny trend that you've alluded to now a couple of times, where it's just
yeah,
like a band hooks you with a couple albums. It kind of it permanently impresses them, upon
mhm,
your life, right? You're always kind of a fan, even if 80% of their catalog you just either have no use for or don't really know about. Like I think about a band like,
yeah,
for me, that's Gin Blossoms, who are here.
yeah.
And if you ask me, I would say that Gin Blossoms is one of my all-time favorite bands.
Mm,
But with that, it is New Miserable Experience is one of my all-time favorite albums.
mhm,
Congratulations, I'm Sorry was good, and I know a couple of songs off of like their 2000s releases.
right.
And that's it. So, can I say that Gin Blossoms is one of my all-time favorite bands on the strength of one record? And
Hmm.
I would submit that maybe you can, and maybe you can, make them your AOL Instant Messenger screen name, just based off the fact that they had a strong impression on you at a time when you were most impressionable,
That's true.
with your learning, right? You have a crush on a girl, right?
Yeah,
So that's it, maybe not a first crush, but this is a learning experience. You're learning an instrument here. You're learning the
yep,
guitar for the first time. It's just a time where you're picking up a lot of stuff. And that's
yeah.
why going to 1994 and trying to pick out 10 CDs that we would buy if we had the offer of the century in front of us is, to me, just it's just fascinating because it says a little
Yeah.
bit about who we are. And it's just kind of cool that how this stuff ties into our being. This
Oh
is
yeah.
30 plus years ago, and
Oh
it's just
gosh,
some of the stuff
that's
that
depressing.
some
Yeah.
but some of the stuff that we've evoked, is just
Right.
might as well have been yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
It really may have.
It's crazy, and it's funny. And so this album, it was sort of, I will say, in my defense, Dave Matthews had a little bit more of a better run in terms of albums that I could. It wasn't just like one or two. I think I had one or two more albums than like even REM in terms of the songs that I would choose to listen
Mhm.
to again. But you know, this one led me to eventually. I couldn't choose Crash. It wasn't on this list, and I think it came out in '96 or '97 or something.
Yeah,
And then Before These Crowded
before
Streets, I
the
believe. So,
crowded
so there's
streets.
there's 3 albums that I was solid with. But anyway, this was the gateway drug, I guess, to DMB Dan, for better or worse.
I do want to get to the some of the honorable mentions. You also call them second guesses.
Yeah.
There's some stuff here that you
Yes.
may have really wanted to include, but didn't. And I'm just kind of curious, where are we dipping here on
Okay.
this list? The 11 through 15, perhaps,
The
crowd.
11th. Okay,
And
sure.
we don't have to go to it with nearly as much depth.
Yeah,
I
no, I'll
just want
keep
to hear.
it.
I'm curious. I'm curious like a cat. My friends call me
Okay.
Whiskers.
All right, Harry. Okay, we're gonna go. Let's see, Van Morrison, Moondance.
Nice.
Uh, I didn't select it because I don't know if there was enough. I don't know if I could listen to everything exactly like through and just be like, yeah, this album was like great, or how, because I would always just replay the title song Moondance. I just thought it's a great one, and it stoned me. And there was like a couple of other ones that I liked, but
Caravans on there too, right?
yeah, yeah. So I didn't throw it in there. Another one I had was Nirvana's Nevermind,
Yep.
because that, again, I was a fan, and Unplugged. That was the one that got me started. I'm throwing Kenny G Breathless on this bad boy. It's just,
I'm sorry,
you
I
gotta
don't
mix
mean
it.
to laugh. Okay.
No, please, please.
Wow, the alto sax getting some heavy
Yes,
representation here.
after sometimes you need to unwind from all that Green Day Dookie and Nirvana with just something a little bit more mellow to take the edge off. And to me, that's Kenny G's Breathless. This is something that I probably would not have chosen to buy, but it just got a lot of airplay in the house, and I didn't mind it. It was nice. It brings me back to
So, you told the Bryan Adams story. Now
yeah.
it's time for me to tell the Kenny G story.
Okay.
So in art class, probably in 7th grade, I think it was 7th grade, Mrs. Basile is my art teacher. God bless her. I don't know if she's with us anymore or not. But she was the kind of teacher who just used to be like, all right, kids, we're going to do our art with our markers today. Like she had the heavy,
Nice.
there was a heavy lack of R's here for this teacher. But I remember her saying, sometimes it's nice to do your art with some music. And she, seemed to suggest that it was okay for kids to bring in some music to play during art class.
Mm-hmm.
So I went home and, thought very hard about this because, it's 7th grade. Like stakes are high here. I need to bring in some music. I need to also have this be acceptable to my teacher. So, my probably mid-50s, art teacher. So we can't just bring in any, random MTV crap here. It's not going to fly. I believe she might have used some language to define this, like the boundaries of taste, right? So I thought, okay, what about jazz? Well, we don't, might shock you, might not. Not a lot of what you might call like good jazz played in the Sylver household growing up. Not a lot of Coltrane, not a lot of Miles.
Yeah,
No Thelonious Monk, but Kenny G was there. G was there, and I was like, well, this is instrumental. This is, it might pass. And let's just say that Mrs. Basile, I believe, was even shocked that I had brought in Kenny G's Silhouette cassette.
Oh my God.
That was before Breathless.
Oh my goodness. That's some classic Weather Channel music right there.
Yeah. And the reception from the kids in the class was like, what is this loser doing? Like, what are you just go home. Get out, leave. It's the end of you and me.
Oh,
there's the Kenny G story. I don't know who crashed and burned harder. Was it me with Kenny G or you with Bryan Adams at the middle school dance?
Yeah.
I'm sure if other guests on this podcast are open to be as honest as you and I, they have a moment just like this. So.
Oh yeah, I have plenty of embarrassing picks for different eras. Trust me.
Well, maybe you'll become a podcast favorite, and we'll bring you back again, Dan.
I should be so lucky. We'll see.
yeah, that's if this experience hasn't soured you on a number of things.
No, this has been great. I just feel bad subjecting everyone else to my choices here.
Hey, this is the digital age, right? You don't have to listen. You can just simply close the app, right?
This is true. Okay. We're going with Real McCoy another night.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I did not expect.
You see that?
I did not see that coming. The only reason I was going to mention Real McCoy is because on this listing, it is right next to, I believe, country artist Neil McCoy.
I didn't even notice that.
McCoy is juxtaposed with Neil McCoy's album, You Gotta Love That. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have this CD, Dan?
Well, I technically didn't. My dad did.
Okay.
Wow. So it was.
Your dad just blows my mind with his musical versatility here.
Do you remember? Was it Fun 107?
I'm aware of it because I saw commercials for it on like Boston TV, but I don't think I could get it, or maybe South Shore TV, right? But I couldn't get it in. I couldn't get it on the Cape. I don't think.
Got it. Well, they used to play. That's where they would play that type of Real McCoy LaBouche. That sort of. How would you classify that?
Some
upbeat. Yeah.
A little rhythm as a dancer, perhaps.
Exactly. All that stuff. That was also, I think, that type of music also had a strong presence, I think, in the mid '90s, and I didn't want to
Yes.
completely ignore that for this list.
Okay.
And that song is a banger, and I don't remember much more about the album, but that popped up at me, and I just
on there?
yeah, Run Away, yeah.
I remember there was like a car commercial that had that, maybe 10 years ago, and I was like, this is perfect branding.
Right.
Such a strong like hook.
Yeah, I just checked. It was on that.
I don't know much else, Real McCoy. I don't know if I need to know any more Real McCoy. You've sold me.
Yeah, and again, would I choose that today? Most definitely not. But again, if I'm thinking mid '90s and what sort of stood out, and sprinkle in something a little different, I got to throw Real McCoy in there.
Nice.
So that's my list. At least what I would choose today. If you ask me next week, could be different.
And that was the thing here. You order your 10 CDs and you go, oh, shoot, I definitely made a mistake here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really because you couldn't. I mean, did they have, Dan, at this time, did they have like listening booths in record stores where you could put the cans on and like preview the album? That might have been like a later 90s thing. I'm not sure.
I think you know what? I remember that experience at Borders. So whatever the heyday was of Borders Books and Music, I do remember they had the little listening booths there.
We got a Borders in like '97, I think, in Hyannis. So that was
feels right.
That was huge. That was just enormous for the region. So Dan is sending back his reply card to BMG Music Service with R.E.M, Monster, Counting Crows, August and Everything After, Cranberries, No Need to Argue, Nirvana, Unplugged in New York, Hootie and the Blowfish, as I have in my notes here, he says, It Just Feels Right, Hootie and the Blowfish, Cracked Rear View, Lives Throwing Copper, Eric Clapton's Unplugged, 2 unplugged albums, a very 90s experience here, right? Green Day's Dookie, Boyz II Men 2, and Dave Matthews Band, Under the Table and Dreaming. Dan, thank you for being the inaugural guest on Crack Review.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you. I hope they've got some more sane choices in the years to follow.
This is a murderer's row of 1994-95 music here, and I was happy to run back through it with you. So thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. This is great.
My guest was Dan Lourenço. Music by Ceramic from their EP, Somebody Like That. You can subscribe to Crack Rearview on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. And Crack Rearview Podcast is on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Sean Sylver.